All right, thank you, sir. So you are welcome again today. We appreciate God for this gathering, which is 2 years and still running. And God laid in the heart of Reverend Samuel to start this. We are witnessing, we call it period of recalibrating, where we are going back to the basics, understanding the fundamentals of the Christian faith, that is all about Christ, and we build upon it. One thing is certain, and that's taking up a challenge, especially as it looks like majorly that there has been a deviation from the fundamental of Christian faith, which is Christ, and other things have taken over. Now we are here to reset the cycle so that we can all get it right. Now, like I said, it's a challenge because it's almost like speaking against what we have considered to be truth. And one of the things you will appreciate when you're here is that truth, again, is subject to the foundational truth, if I have to use that word. There's no truth without Christ. And once Christ is not the object of focus of discussion, truth is usually subjective. And the objectivity of faith, of truth, is when it's founded in Christ and Christ alone. And that's why we are here. We are here because we believe that God would have us, come back to the basis, to calibrate the essence of a Christian faith, and to boldly stand on the truth. And of course, we appreciate the fact that it's also a gathering of fellowship, and that's much more than just speaking. We are also connecting with ourselves in the spirit and loving on each other. That's one thing I know that also this group and this gathering is all about. But one thing is certain, nobody comes there with a no-eater attitude, and we are also vulnerable enough to admit that some of the errors we are correcting, we have been in them ourselves. And so it's not that we're trying to do a holier than thou gathering, to a gathering of where truth is appreciated and where Christ is the basis. And of course, from the little we have been discussing so far, you know that we are not afraid or shy to venture in those topics that may have been controversial because they were not well founded. And I trust that again today, it's going to be another opportunity for us to brush on our truth, to reestablish this truth, and also to deal with the basic of the Christian faith, or address some of these Christological truths in the light of Christ, so that indeed we're not on the basis of trying to establish the truth, throw away the baby and the bathwater, missing on the fundamental, to knowing that our Christian faith and our lives and our Christological understanding is to make a difference in the world. I know today is going to be interesting. Our chief was not around, but I trust that, as usual, Dr. Light is going to be able to, stir up something on the inside of us, which is one of the things we are going to enjoy. Something's going to be stirred up in your heart in the course of the teaching. And of course, by the time discussion comes in, they're going to leave here with clarity. They're going to leave here to see the sincerity of heart of the men that are gathered here and the women. And of course, they are going to leave here impacting. So you are welcome on board to this great reawakening, even as we calibrate again. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Pastor Steve, for that beautiful way of capturing the reason of our coming together. And I believe that reawakening, this platform has been extremely beneficial to all of us, as it affords us opportunity to learn and to relearn, to learn and to be charged and to be fired up. And last week, we were in this again, and we started learning about the Christological dynamics of money. We Pastor Sam was here with us, and even though he's still here, but maybe not on that very active level because he's on a missionary assignment to Costa Rica. And it was a very wonderful time last week. It was illuminating when we're trying to look at what Christ has put in place as far as his creation is concerned, and how we as Christians should engage such in terms of the monetary exchange. So last week we started looking at understanding Christological dynamics of money, and we're still going to do that today. Now, so just the same way we have always done, I'm going to do the same before we open up for a discussion. So I just have some couple of minutes to do this. And what we're trying to do again as ministers and as disciples in God's house is to understand the dynamics that Christ, the author of creation, has put in place. And he expects us as his own people to discover and to make most of such, in order that, as children of God, we will not be financially disadvantaged, nor become burdensome to anybody, but that we may have enough to meet our needs, our family, and then we're also responsible in his kingdom. We are givers. We understand the fact that God's work prosper and must prosper through our individual commitment and generosity. And then the same goes to the minister of the gospel, the church of God. We understand that how we should deal with money, so that the church of God will make good progress. And then the assignment committed to our trust, both in winning the lost and then in discipling the nations of men, will not suffer in our hands, but rather it will have accelerated growth, all because we got things right as far as money is concerned. Now, we know last week we have said it, and we say it again, that money is a good resource. Is a resource, or is a weapon God has given to us. And it behoves us to know how to get it, and how to also make most of it, to the end that the kingdom of God will advance. Now, all us, we are always doing all us from the point of all that we do, Christ must be the center of such. We're doing all us, through him, just like the Bible tells us in Romans 11, I think the last verse said, of him, through him, and to him are all things. So we believe that all us must be of him, everything that we are doing, and then we are doing everything by him, and then we know that the end of our conversation and transactions must still be his interest. Okay, now I've just tried to capture this in looking at the dynamics of money, in this Christological dynamics, in the sense that how Christ, that which he has put in place, in which that will help us as men, and for that matter, as Christians, and learning and looking at all things. I found that there is this three process, or three main things, as to the dynamics of money. And that is the making of money itself. Now, either as a church, or or we are communicating the same thing to the people God has placed, God has placed us over. So the making of money, then the managing of money, we must manage it. And then we must multiply it. We must grow that money. If we don't apply ourselves to all these three properly, we find that we might just realize that our effectiveness in financial handling might not be that too good. And at the end of the day, it will also affect our commitment to our king, to our kingdom. So the making of money. Now, I see that whether we like it or not, as a church, we must help our people to know how to make money. Of course, that might not be the responsibility of the church per se in terms of the gospel. But when we look at the dynamics of the world we find ourselves today, a lot of people are not taught. They don't even know about certain things until they come to the church. Many of our students, graduate, undergraduate, don't even know much about money making. And I think if the church can create platform whereby we can teach our people something, because it's still Christological, it's still Christ, and we can take advantage of the coming of people and teach them, I think it will be fantastic, because at the end of the day, we want them to be effective. Okay, so I look at it, I said making money. Now, I've seen that for our people to make money, the money is made generally on two grounds. Either we bring goods to the market or we bring services. And the two comes from our own ability to be able to engage. And for us to engage, it means all our potentials are brought to play. We exploit to interact with creation, and then we make money. So, and that simply means we have a form of education in order to do that. Now, one of the challenges I've seen with the church is that while we start talking about money, we must be careful that we don't look at education only from academics point of view alone, in which we look at the cognitive, we look at secondary education, then somebody go to college depending on the country, or you go to university, then you have the degree, and then maybe you now go for your postgraduate. Now that is good. Our people need to do that, but I don't think that will be the same for everybody. Otherwise, we're going to go from one problem to another, in which we're going to have a lot of people who are academically sound, they have everything, but money making is not only about academic excellence. What we need to do is to get our people educated to know about money. And it's not only academics that do that. That's one thing I have found out. For instance, I was looking at this guy, because when you look at the dynamics of the world where we are today, in previous world, it looks as if you must be professional. Maybe you are a medical doctor, you are a pharmacist, you are a lawyer, you are an engineer. But the dynamics of today's world doesn't necessarily make it that. For instance, I was looking at this guy that on TikTok, the guy that has the highest follower, about 200 million. This guy, is it from Kenya? Or I've forgotten the country now. Kabilane. That the guy was suffering in the place where he's working. He's not even gone to college. We started putting skit on TikTok. The guy doesn't even talk. Now, that's a form of education. He saw a niche in the, he saw a niche in the need of men, in human needs, and then plug into it. Today, the guy is in another orbit. He's making millions of dollars. Now, I think somebody like this now, having made that money, he can now go back to that form of academics later. But for us as church, and I've seen a tendency in the church to always think we have to go through that route, in which it must be secondary education, college, and then we just follow that thing, just follow that pattern for everybody. But I begin to see that we, as the church, we must understand that the church is full of all kinds of men. Some we have that kind of academic education, some might not. There's education in sport, which might not necessarily be in that classroom, but people are educated in that. I look at this lady that just was retiring from lawn tennis, Serena Williams. I was looking at that, the millions that lady has made. I am too sure that if that lady has been on academics, first degree, second degree, PhD, everything, there is no way she will have been able to have that kind of career in terms of lawn tennis. Now, what we want for our people is that we are looking at God's creation, and we're looking at how do we plug in into what does God have for everybody, the gifts, the talents, the abilities, without necessarily making one aspect just the same for one angle the same for everybody. So I put it here that we must be able to look at our members and help them provide and present different ways into the market for them, so that everybody can easily plug into one area or the other. Okay, so I put it here, there is academic as far as education is concerned. I put it here that there are areas when it's just skill and competence we are looking at. I've been in Canada for a while, and I look at the kind of system we have here, that everything must not just be the formal setting, first degree, second degree. We have a lot of online courses that people do that make them to be able to fit into the kind of this environment. And then people make a lot of money. Somebody is not necessarily a master degree holder, but please, I've seen somebody is doing a master, and it's earning by $8,000 per month in Canada here, just because of specialized training that he did, which is not really something outrageous. Do we as pastors see that for our people? Or if we are not careful, we're only going to look at people who are professionals in the church and use that as model? I don't think we should make that mistake, because the world, we see the world of unbelievers. We see people delving into different areas. I remember sharing something in our church the other time back in Nigeria. Now let's look at all the building, the way the business climb of Nigeria is different from Canada or Western world there. But actually some of us are from that part. I was looking at those who are into building materials in where I work. They are millionaires. Hardly did I see any Christian among them who are into this building material, into plumbing materials, into this. Because some of those work demand artisanship, skill. You learn on the job, then before you know what happened, they've taken over that. But you find our own people will not do it. Everybody want to do that formal thing, and at the end of the day, they become salary earners. That's the best they become. You go to masters, some of them go to lecturing, they become salary. Even if you are working in the bank, you are still a salary earner. But these people that you left behind, a lot of them are into this, they rough it out, they do jama. Before you know what happened, they started making all the money. So I think we, as pastors, we might need to stretch our people. I was looking at Instagram and I was just studying tailoring. I was just looking at tailors in Nigeria, and I found that tailors have gone nuclear. That they are so shit and all this. They now have their label, all this what we call is it Jonathan design or something. They've gone nuclear. See what they are sewing. I'm like, and these people are not necessarily graduates. We are the Christians, and many of them are not even Christians. So I'm looking at what's happening. This kind of work involves intelligence. I think that what the colonial master did to us back in Africa is still what we call white collar job. I think the narrative has changed. And as pastors, we must be able to help our people to venture into everything. Somebody doesn't necessarily have to, all our members don't have to have first degree, second degree before in fact, they don't have to. And I've also studied that some people, while some of us are still battling with all the degree, spending, particularly in our time now, where even the university spend 6 years, 7 years because of strike. Some other people are into one kind of business, they've made all the money. They've even been established before they even think they will now graduate. And then you can now go back and go and get the same degree that others have, because now you have all the money. These are some of the dynamics I find that is there that we might need to look more into. Now, I also see that there is a lot of things going on the net, on social media, that we might need to encourage our people to be more involved. Look at what some people have made on skit maker influencers, and all these guys. How many of them are really Christians? How many of our members know this world? So these are some of the things I have looked at that our members, we need to. His first degree. That's good. His mind is stretched. He doesn't have to. That certificate is working with. He might need to go and learn a trade. He might need to move into other things. These are dynamics that this world we now find in today's world. And I think as much as possible, as many of our members that can learn business, that can go into one area, or even though they might suffer initially, on the long run, for me, I think is the best. And the few who really want to stay, maybe as civil servants or as workers, any salary, of course, we'll also educate those ones as to how to manage their money. That's one area that I just want to talk about. The second area I want to talk about, because we're looking at dynamics of money, is that it should be obvious to us, particularly those of us in diaspora. Now, we have challenges. We know that our country, maybe Nigeria or Africa, has some of its challenges. But Africa is an emerging economy. And experience has shown that for many of us in this Western world is good. We have a comfortable life, but we might not be able to shake things for God financially. All we're just going to be giving just those meager amount that we give. Meanwhile, this world affords us opportunity. I've studied a lot of guys who are abroad, who, when they came here, what they did was to live subsistently. They live, they lived on little, and they were saving their money. I have a friend who did like that when he was in UK. He's a medical doctor. He saved all his money and he went back to Nigeria. If you see his practice today, it's multi-million. There is no way that guy can make that kind of money if he had remained in UK. It's not possible. He's into, in fact, at the time I was working with him, he wanted to buy equipment worth 500 million. He was planning to upgrade his hospital with equipment worth 500 million naira. This is about 4 years. That's about 4 years ago. Now, if he had remained in UK, he would not, because there's so much opportunity back there. Somebody say because of security in Nigeria and everything. Yes, I know there are security problems, there are challenges. But maybe while we watch things, let's save. Let's not just live anyhow here. I move and I see the way people live, and I'm like, to what end? You are buying this, you are buying that. What for? Live low. Don't eat big. Save all your money. One guy left abroad. He was in UK. I was watching the documentary. It was in UK, and in fact, he left his university. He listened to Warren Buffett's teaching about how to make money. So he started doing this recycling thing about laptop and things like that. I was doing it in the university. I mean, no, not laptop. He was doing cleaning services. Yes, he was doing cleaning services, and he was doing it on his own. And if he engaged, he employed somebody. Then later the whole business started growing. Then he went into recycling thing. Eventually, the business blew before him, and he was saving his money. He couldn't finish university. He left university in UK and went to Ghana, and he started real estate. The guy is a multi-billionaire today. He's a multi-billionaire. I watched the documentary, and I was wondering, if I'm his pastor, will I have allowed this? Will I have allowed him to do this? In my own kind of mindset, will I not think if he dropped for university, that's the end of his life? These are some of the things I keep looking at, that we really need to open the box. We really need to think outside the box as pastors. Somehow, if we are not careful, the world is more aggressive than us in taking, in entering to Christological, into the dynamics that Christ himself put in place. That if we are not careful, we are not even taking advantage of such opportunities. Okay, so I said that, that as we are here, let's live low. And is there so much we can save, except you don't have any goal, that you just want to live your life low, you don't have any dream like that. But I think for the kingdom's sake, for a greater good, as many of us should have big dreams. Okay, that's the second thing I want to say. Another thing I just want to say is that for those of us back, we must also learn from unbelievers. I have seen a lot of uneducated people. Where I live back in Shagam in Nigeria, in Ogun State in Nigeria, uneducated. Most houses are owned by uneducated people. Most houses. Many of us who are doctors, professionals, we're just having money now. And how much? How many houses does a doctor have in those environments? But these people have been on business. They've used cooperative. They've used bank. An average Christian will say, God told me never to borrow. I can't borrow. Who says that? Jesus said, You should have put my money in the bank and they should have added interest. What is borrowing? You borrow and invest in good business, and then it grows. So these are some of the things. I remember a pastor telling his member that nobody must borrow in this church. I said, your pastor has never done business. That's why he's talking that way. Who says you should not borrow? The John leader, don't borrow to eat. Don't go and borrow to do party or do those things. Borrow and put money in business and let it grow. And as much as possible, let it in business of course you have understanding of. This is one of the things that we need to put money in cooperative. If you save money in that cooperative, of course, many of us might not know what I'm saying about that, but I think I just have to bring all this example. There's some of us here, let your credit, use credit card, use your credit card well, so that you can have good credit rating and you can be able to access funds when you need it. We cannot just afford to be people that the platforms that Christ put in place, that depending on societies that we find ourselves, they've been able to capture and use based on their own, based on what they think is best for them, and then we are not part of such. I was talking to a brother recently, and he was telling me that he's been in UK now. He doesn't have a credit card. He doesn't use it. He doesn't believe it. Just came from. I said, no, by now you should have had a credit card. How do you rate yourself? What if opportunity comes that you will need this fund for something? We should not just be people that will just exclude ourselves from system. We should study every system and look at the advantages that it offers, so that it will not just be unbelievers that are just taking advantage of all this. You see, if we do this and teach our members all this, by the time they start having the money, it will be easy for them to remember the church. It will be easy for them to even put. Another thing I see is that because our members don't have much money, they can only give what they have. He himself is struggling. So what do they have? And then we must not turn Christocentric or Christocentricity to poverty. It's not synonymous to poverty or lack. In fact, if anything, our Christocentric dimension should help us to know it is Christ's world. For his sake, we are trying to maximize. For his sake, I saved. For his sake, I live a simple life. For his sake, I'm delving into this. I'm learning more. I'm getting this skill and all that. Then we must also know other opportunities that are there in the financial market, in the sense that it is not just fiat money. There is digital money, cryptocurrency. Some people did it, and of course, because we didn't know much about it, we lost a lot of money. But the truth is still that it's still working till tomorrow, and people are still going to make millions and billions out of it. Can we learn about it? You see, I'm saying all this because these are all the options that are there, and then we must present for our people. Now, the mere fact that people have made mistakes and they've lost money in something doesn't mean we must become close to all those things. There is no business that people has ventured in. I know people who have done schools back in Shagam, where I came from, who closed up. I closed, who closed up. I ran my first school. I closed, I ran into debt, and eventually something, I had to dispose of the school but I've started another one. I move forward. There's nothing I can do. We have to fail forward. So this is some of the things that our members need to know. Somebody said, it is only those who have never, those who try not to fail that eventually failed. But those who believe that even if they fail, they will move forward. They are the ones today who are actually controlling the world. There is no person that we're going to see today that has not made a mistake. There is nobody that have not failed in one way or the other, that they kept moving forward. Okay, so these are some of the things I just want to say as to making money. Then I also put this for the church. When we look at Roman Catholic Church, I think Roman Catholic Church has a lot of investment. How did they do it? Is it possible for Pentecostal church to, Christocentric church to have investment? I'm not talking about the pastor now having investment. I'm talking about the church. Is it possible for us? Is there dynamics like that? Where we are using in our church back in Lagos, we are paying a rent of 3.5 million per annum. And the man has increased to 4.2. And we are not the only one using it. When we use it, another church use it in the afternoon, another church during the week, and then the other people that come to do programs there. It made it like a studio. Now I'm looking at, so if it is Integrity Worship Center, really that owns that place, will I then be wise to give it to other churches to use? I don't think I will have. But now I've changed my mind. I'm going to do that. I told my pastor, anywhere we go, we're going to make it good. We're not just going to be the only one using the place. So we're going to have a center on Sunday, that throughout the week it's just lying fallow. It doesn't add up. We can make money, even if it is our tithe and offering we're all going to use, or whatever people give their commitment. If you don't believe in tithes, our commitment, we can use that to run the church, and then the money that comes there, we can use to assist our members. Who says a church that has a good parking lot cannot give their hall, their church as a hall for people to wed? They can come and wed there. They don't have to be a church member. They pay. They pay for the clinic. We have a way of doing it. They will say we can't give our church or for another church to come and hold program. They will pay. These are dynamics that churches can put into conferences. Church can have specialized places made that is good enough that organizations, they want to go and use some hotels, and they can be very expensive. We can make our own affordable because it's actually for the church. So we can make more money through this thing. These are dynamics that I begin to look at in the age we are. A church will really need to, we will need to really get into. Of course, we've said this, social media engagement for our members, and then even for the church. Okay, I think that's the area that I really want to concentrate. Then I'll just talk about managing and multiplying money. Okay, managing money. Of course, both on the church part of the church. As a church, we are prudent, we are not wasteful. We know what we are investing in, we know the programs we are doing, we know how to really spend so little to do so much. I believe that every church must spend little to do so much. It must be our mantra. In this church, we use little to do so much. Jesus used little loaves to feed 5,000. So we too should have that, to use little to do so much. And then we must really see to it that everything in our church environment is, because so much money is, if you're not careful, is wasted by the church on instruments, on things like that. We keep buying also on this thing. We can really see how we manage this thing so that they don't get damaged easily, so that we don't need to spend money, and then we can be saving. A church, apart from a church too should have saving. We must not spend all the money, every month we just finish everything. We must put money into saving so that we can have at least money in bulk, and then we can use it for some big things. Maybe we are planning how to buy our building or build our own structure and things. And once we have built it, we must still continue in the same, because there's so much things that we can do. Our members are there that need assistance. So as a church, we want to look at, okay, what other things we can do. A church has a big expanse of land around our church, depending on the area we are. Can we put shops around it that will face the public, and our members we can give them on lease? They can start their business and be making money. They will be sending money. And I look at some of these dynamics, it's workable. These are areas I keep looking at as church that we might need to look into. Of course, as far as our church is concerned, our members are concerned, we teach them how to manage their money, the principle of, financial prudence, simplicity, and things like that. Of course, part of managing is giving back to the church. Be committed to where they are being fed. Those who are taught spiritual things, they should communicate with, with the same, all kind of things. That's where they are fed, and we should not be afraid to teach our members to give back to the church responsibly, to give to their pastors, to be generous one towards another as members. There are members that have more than enough that can assist other members we do that. We do a lot of that in our church. You tell your members, assist one another, raise good money. Let this person start his business. Help him to start his business. Or this person is doing well, he's doing something in his business. Can we inject more money? These are areas we might need to look at that will help our members. These are some of the things I just want to say there. And finally, multiplying money. I've said some things about it, but I just want to run on that before we open up. Okay, multiplying money. Now, the truth is this. Pastor Sam said something last week as to somebody, he asked one of his members, if you have 1 million, what will you do? And the guy said, I will give one, I will give, is it 10% to the church, 20% I'll give to my pastor, then the 70% I'll go for investment. I think for me, that's good. These are some of the things that I didn't learn when I was young. But of course, I'm committed to it that those who are coming behind me, they won't make the same mistake. So I'm really hitting them on all sides as to this, letting them know that in this world they can't afford to be burdensome or to be, not to get it right as servants of Christ. We are servants of Christ in God's world, and we must get it right. We're talking about that which is legit. Okay, so I put it here that our members should learn how to multiply money. Our members should learn. Sometimes they can do joint investment. Two people can they can invest. Two people can bring their money together. There's a brother I was talking to back in Nigeria. He's a pharmacist, and I was saying that, can we open pharmacies together? He said, yes, I'm ready. Blah, blah, this. We'll do this percentage. Now, he doesn't have the money. Somebody have the money. Let's start. You see, one of the things I find that Christians are always afraid. What if it doesn't work? Why must we always be negative? What if it works? I know one hospital back then in Nigeria, a co-hospital. It's a multi-billion hospital now. But it was started by 3 guys when they finished medical school. And we call it a co-hospital. It's Eneli Kuko Biora. Today, they've gone, they've gone to the stock market. All those that started it, they retired, but they're still making money. Their family is still making money. If it is one-man show, I'm sure those hospitals will have died. Because I remember when we were medical students, many of the hospitals we were working back then in Lagos, all of them are dead today. They don't even exist. In fact, in Shaga, where I am, 2 major hospitals that have always been, they are dead today. Because many times, many of us professionals, we are not very vast in business. So we might need to go beyond the normal way of personal entrepreneurship, just one-man show, and see, can we? This is one of the things we want to teach our members, the pros and the cons. If they know some of these things and the fear of such is taken care of, we bring professionals, we bring people who have gone through that path. Sometimes some of those are not even Christians, but they are professionals. It is Christ's word. And Jesus did not make the wisdom of how to engage this world only exclusive to his church. Human being too, the Son of Jesus is rising on all. The natural wisdom by which to engage the Son of God is not exclusive to the church. So these are areas that I think that we might need to look into. So our people might need to invest. I think if people are going to multiply money, the truth is they must invest it, either directly or indirectly, either on their own or they want to enroute it through other investment. But somehow we must invest our money if it's going to grow, if we are going to grow money. And of course, areas we are going to invest our money is diverse. We can't do that. We can't say that within the scope of this teaching. Okay, so I think if we look at things from all these angles with all soberness, and then we are prayerful, I think every church must pray about their finance. For somebody to tell me that it just answer to wisdom and everything, I do not see that alone in the Bible. I think there's what is called favor in the market. I think there's what is called ideas. God give ideas. God give intent. God gives staying power. You are doing this business, you are getting tired, but you are not tired because God fires you on. There's something that just say, right on, move on. When you should have given up, and all for, before you know, another, something just blew out of nowhere, and then we are now in another orbit. We should pray for our members about their finance, and then every Christocentric person should know this. Satan is not just going to allow us to just have all the money. He's going to attack us. He's going to fight us. He's going to help you to make wrong decisions. He's going to make you to be hasty. He's going to bring wrong people, just one thing or the other that will affect us financially. And if we do a lot of praying, it will avert unnecessary financial loss. As much as possible, we want to minimize the loss and maximize the gain or the profit without being cruel in the marketplace. And of course, as Christians who are Christocentric, Christ, being the person that we are accountable to, we know we are going to be fair and we're going to be just in all our transactions. Those things guiding us, I think we're really going to do well in the marketplace. Okay. And then if we teach our people to give, it will not be difficult. They will give because they've seen is that all this they learned, and then their life is about Christ without we stopping at no time about what discipleship, what our life is all about. Sometimes we might need to call individual members and talk to them about their financial response. I still spoke with a member of our church some minutes ago about, his giving in the church. And then I got his position and we're clarifying things, not because we love their money, but because these are our disciples. And we don't even want any disciple to get to the other side and the person we point fingers at that we didn't tell them the whole truth. Sometimes the truth that we need to tell our members might not be that generic, that which you just say generally. Sometimes we might need to do one-on-one, depending on our relationship and how much these people has applied themselves or how much they have committed themselves to God. So sometimes we might need to do that. I believe strongly that if we do some of these things and many more, which we're going to discuss, that I've not been able to cover, I think in the process of time, in the next 5 years, 10 years, it's really going to be a different it's going to be a different ball game for us as pastors and as our members, and I think that there is nothing as beautiful seeing our members walking in the truth and they're also prospering and they are in good health. This is what John wished Gaius will experience. That even as he so prosper, he has seen this guy is generous and everything. And John said, I wish you, this Gaius, you will prosper more and you will be in health because we have seen your operation. I think we do this, we're really going to see much more finance in our churches. Okay, I think this is just little. I just want to share. Let's open up and start discussion. I'm sure there are many more areas that have not covered that we might want to bring up. Thank you for listening. Yes. Let's open up. Comments, questions, clarifications, things that we need to delete or add. Yes. And I know how Pastor Sam feels when he finished talking and nobody is raising hands. Yes. If I don't see hands, I will still talk more. Please, everybody, don't leave me alone here. Pastor Louis, Pastor Bukola, Chidi, Reverend Grant Ojo, Reverend John August, Reverend K. Oyedepo, all the reverend, the bishops.
Dr. Reverend is raising his hands.
Okay, Pastor Reverend, sir, yes.
All right, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sorry, my internet is very fluctuating here. But
yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I listened to everything, man. You are just awesome. I mean, powerful stuff. And we are glad for the participants today and those who are joining us on YouTube. I concur 100% with everything that Dr. Desote has said. And in a nutshell, my own contribution would just be that I think the church of Jesus Christ, the body of Christ, must never shy away from discussing these things we're discussing today. And we should never allow the world to bully us out of what is God's plan for our lives. And we must understand that as long as our motive is pure and the desire to have more money is coming from a good heart, and we know the purpose of money, there is no reason why we should be apologetic about having more desire, to have more. I think we looked at a couple of scriptures last week like Pastor Disote rightly alluded to. First, I think we looked at Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. I said that it is the Lord that has given us power to get wealth, even though that applying to the children of Israel directly, but it applies to us too because we are children of Abraham under the new covenant. So he said God is the one that has given us power to get wealth. And he didn't give, there's no scripture where the Bible says God will give us money or give us wealth, that he has given us power. And that word power there is what Dr. Disote has enumerated in those three things: make money, manage money, and multiply money. So we can say that that's the power to get wealth. So that he may establish the covenant which is swore to our fathers. Now, what is that covenant? Until all the families of the earth are blessed. Now, what is the blessing to the end for all the families of the earth? It is the gospel of Christ. So it is impossible to discuss the Christological values of money without talking about the Christocentric message, which is to get the job done until everybody is touched with the goodness of the Lord Jesus Christ. The truth of the matter is, what are you going to give to a man that is hungry? I mean, I always tell people that the good news, when you say what is good news, people say well, the good news is, so when you say what is the meaning of the gospel, people say the good news. That statement is correct, but it is incomplete. You say, what is the meaning of the gospel? What is the definition of the gospel? You say, the gospel is the good news. Yes, I repeat, that statement is correct, but it is incomplete. The correct and the complete definition of the gospel will be the gospel is the good news of the Lord Jesus Christ. Because if you just stop at defining the gospel as the good news, then the good news to a hungry man is that there is food. But that's not the good news of Jesus Christ. The good news to a man that is sick is that he can be healed. But that's not the good news of the Lord Jesus Christ. The good news to a homeless person is that, okay, I can give you shelter. The good news to a man whose marriage is broken is you can have restoration. So now, all of those are part of the Christological values, because we have said over and over again on this platform that everything that is good, rain from heaven, the sun to shine, is both for the just and the unjust. But they are interwoven with the gospel of the good news of the Lord Jesus Christ, which is Christocentric. So we must be bold and be confident to say, you know what? Everything that Dr. Zeda says today about the importance of money is Christological. That in fact, you don't have to be a believer to understand what he just said today. Because there are unbelievers, in fact, I cited a couple of examples of people that are not Christians that are engaging these principles. They are interacting with creation. They are bringing values to the market, and they are bringing, goods or products or something that we all need. I mean, we're on Zoom today because Eric Wan came up with this. So whether we like it or not, it doesn't matter whether he's a worshiper of idols or whatever his religion is. We pay monthly subscription to get on this Zoom. So the man is cashing in. Now, that ability is Christological. It is beyond him. It is Christ-given. It is centered around Christ. You may not know. So if unbelievers are going to engage Christological values and make this world better places, make this world a better place, I think it is shameful for Christians not to engage the same principles. But all we do is that our prayer lines today are jammed with people praying for something praying for things that don't need prayers. We are so much enemy conscious, especially in this part, from those of us who are originally from Africa. And I'm not saying enemies do not exist, but We can pray in tongues. Don't get me wrong, I pray in tongues all the time. I pray in tongues today. I'm simply praying in tongues. You ask God to give you money. You dismantle enemies. You put down, false altars. You set fire on everything. You catch everything should catch fire. But when those things have caught fire, when the altars have been put down in your prayers, what is the value that you are bringing to the marketplace that can be converted to money? That is what we are talking about here. Thank you, Dr. Zode. Back to you.
You're muted, sir.
I think you're muted, Dr. Zode.
Okay, so I said, wow, that's just it. Pastor Sam just summarized everything. The world we are in is Christ's. The Bible says that all things were created by him and for him. And if it is for him, then those of us who are his must know how to engage that word and use it for him. In fact, for me, if we are not part of those who are maximizing this word, then we are actually doing injustice to the one who owns this word. Because with that means we're actually allowing every other person to take advantage, use this word, and they might not use it for him directly. Even though no matter how they do it, they're still going to do everything within the confine of his pleasure, whether they like it or not. But God wants us to be part of those who are doing it with that consciousness, and we are living for the master. And this is what we want to help our members to know and to do. Okay. I think that's okay. Any other comments? Anybody? Okay, can I read something for us? Let's read Genesis 30. Okay, who's that? Okay, Pastor Steve. Pastor Steve.
Right. Okay, so I know that you are Reverend Sam. We give you this platform, you keep talking. No stop. So let me just fully interject. So thank you, sir, for I sat down just listening again, and it's a mixed feeling for me. I'm joyful that we're teaching this, understanding the Christian message, because that has been the issue. Some people think that when we're speaking against some of those prosperity messages because we hated to be rich, or probably we didn't have the understanding. But now we are coming to that grasp, and so I'm glad that we are hearing this. As Doctor was going on, I remember those messages of wealth transfer, and the only thing we think about wealth transfer then was just for us to keep praying and having faith that money from the world will just come to the church. We now already started to think, okay, how will the money come from the world to the church? And now you are bringing it to the fore. That look, this is it. We cannot, shy away from the issue of money. At the same time, though it cannot be wrongly applied, but the principle still remains same. And so I love what I'm hearing today, and I believe that's the essence of the money transfer that we have been talking about, where believers who are called of God, who understand the base of their salvation, now are able to make the money to apply it rightly to the glory of God. And it behoves me, because I just listened. I remembered I went for a course, and the facilitator of the course was explaining something to us. That he said he has a friend. One of our big churches in Nigeria was having a program in the UK, and we go to use the stadium, and the theme of the program was about taking London for Christ. So he said, part of the organizer was his friend, on the pastors, and they were talking. And so we just talking what they want to use. Of course, they will need a solid sound system at the stadium in the UK to do the program. And he said, he asked the guy, okay, where are you getting the equipment from? And he mentioned, he said, so he went to search the company out, and he found out that the owner of the company, either they are Satanists or these gay right people. And he said, he came back to him and said, do you realize this is your program that you are taking the Lord for Christ? You're actually funding the Satanists. The guy didn't realize it. And these have been the joke that has been on us over the years. How that we say we are taking different place for Christ. Then we go to the world because we are not in those places of interest to go and take their equipment, to go and buy things from them, to win Christ, to get, to win the seats for Christ. Whereas the people that are being enriched are the people that don't even know Christ. And so bringing this thing out, just like Dr. Shore did today, is making us understand that the only way we will be able to take over sincerely is when all of us are coming to terms and appreciating this issue of money and come out and be interested in its various facets. I love that, and that's not where you started from. It's not all about formal education. Be interested in every facet, penetrate or go into the world and make disciples, of Jesus Christ. Is what you just told us in a different dimension, with clarity, practically, not just preaching now, practically, to see this thing being deployed, in these various fields, so that we will be at these various instances, be available to make the difference and be in control. And that's one of the issues that have been so bothersome, because we keep shouting, but we don't own the structure, we don't control the system, and we just lock ourselves in the church. Then, like I've always argued, that if being rich is all about giving a loan, then how will you be effective? How will you be productive? Because productivity is the basis of riches in itself. And that's the error we wanted to deal with and dealt with that. But now it's time for us to wake up, time for us to rise up and deploy ourselves sincerely. I know that I've been guilty of this area. And sometimes you don't want to dwell on your error, but you want to wonder, wow, I've messed up a lot of things. Even what some things I knew better to do, I was held back by religion. But thank God that we are able to confront now. Thank God, I love the way that this is coming up, and I trust that we are all challenged here today to take the battle to the field and be bold enough to do the exigency from our pulpit now, encouraging members to go out there and make the difference in the name of Christ. I love the fact that we established that, and I love the way this message goes. So thank you, sir, for this, for staying the honestness again today.
Wow, thank you, Pastor Steve. Where is this thing? Thank you, Pastor Steve. That's just hit it again. I think, well, for me, this is just an area that all of us pastors really need to. Yes, we are doing it, but we really need to step up our consciousness in this area. Let me just say one or two things here. If I see any hand, I will recognize you. Acts 20, let me read this. Verse 34. It's also one thing I've seen in the church that has affected us. Acts 20:34. He said, "Yeah, you yourself know that these hands have ministered unto me, unto my necessity, to them that are with me." Now, this Apostle Paul talking to the church of God at Ephesus when he was to depart, and was saying that his hands has ministered to his needs. Now, this apostle did not see their hands ministering to their needs as if it's unbelief. Sometimes we pastors, we present a kind of narrative in the church as if when God supernaturally provides for us, in quote, we don't labor, we're just full-time ministry, God has been meeting our needs one way or the other, and then we present that angle alone, and then we make it as if that's the only way God works, and that's supernatural, and that's the way all of us must look at. The apostle did not provide that narrative. In other words, what I've seen is that God provides for us on two platforms, either directly or supernaturally. Both must be embraced as God gives us opportunity. We must not see God's providing for us through labor, through investments, as if that's carnal, as if that's not God. That's still Christos. It's still Christ. The sun rising every day, even though it seems as if it's just normal, is a supernatural thing. We must not ignore the fact that there is a power of Christ sustaining it. Our people come with new ideas, entry market, laboring. We must see it as they are doing it by the sustaining power of Christ. It's still the same one. Howbeit, he can still provide, and they must still look up to God for that supernatural provision. I just said that I should put that. Then I want to say something here to all of us who are abroad. I don't know. I think there is a privilege we have with some of us who are working as to what is called land banking. I want to say that on this platform, land banking, in which those of us who are abroad, you can buy land from good, proven source, keep it back in your country. Even if you don't need it, you will sell it later. Rather than just put money in the bank. Look, somebody was telling us this. He said Ikorodu Road in Nigeria, about 40 years ago. I remember when I was with my brother back in Ikorodu Road. Ikorodu Road in those days, land was not up to 100,000. You can't get land in that place, a plot for 100 million now. The same. Now, so there are parts that we might not, but the world is growing. We might not be able to get that in this kind of Western world, in this North America, for some of us who are here, look at their system here. But back in our country, you can keep your money. I remember a place very close to my house back in Nigeria there. This guy he lives in Canada. He bought that place some years back. I don't think he bought that land for up to 2 million. It wasn't even up to 1 million he bought it. He sold the land last year. He sold it for 40 million naira. He lives in Canada. You understand? He sold the land for 40 million. He didn't buy up to 1 million. So there's what is called land banking back in our country. The only thing that let's look for a proven source. If you don't know any, you can go through me. I also do business through that. I'm not advertised as a businessman. You understand? But I'm just saying that there is such a thing like that we can do. So we must just think outside the box as to how, and then if you don't even need money, you can buy it, save it, and then sell it later and use the money to sponsor the gospel or give it to the poor in the church or use to assist some people. These are things that we might need to do. Okay, I just said that, not necessarily in form of teaching, but some other things that we can do. Okay, any other person? Any hands up? Any hand up?
Yeah, Pastor Korede, you may have to help Dr. Dusote to coordinate the questions because it looks like I cannot see those two hands are raised. I see that 2 hands have been raised since.
I'm not seeing them.
So,
Okay,
Pastor
I can
Chidi,
see TD Jacob now. Okay, I recognize TD Jacob. Okay, so sorry, Pastor Jacob.
Okay, good evening,
So sorry,
everyone.
I'm just saying it.
No, it's okay, sir. It's okay, sir. We're enjoying the teaching, and it's all part of it. Thank you, sir, so much for sharing. And I just want to add a little bit. Again, I apologize for coming in a little bit later. We are, by the grace of God, we are trying to see whether Nigeria can move to a different direction. So it's getting us a little more busy day by day. All right. So, sir, I'm a man of faith by the grace of God. But my faith is real. I mean, it's practical as it can be. And I try to question things as much as possible. So I used to ask myself this question, and this is real. If you pick 10 people, now we're talking about wealth now, making money and stuff. If you take 10 poor people, the same age, the same height, the same color, the same sex, the same origin, the same language, and you teach them the same business, and you put them in the same environment, and you give them the same amount of money to do that business, and you pray for them the same amount of prayer, you pour on them the same quantity of oil, you fast for them the same amount of time. At the end of 1 year, some will fail and some will succeed. This is a proven fact. The question is why? Because you've been able to control the environment, but their outcomes are different. And this is something that troubled me for many years, I try to search for the answer. The outcome is different. For example, there's a lot of people who left this country, moved outside, moved to the US. If you get there, there are some of them who are doing outstandingly well. There are others who are just barely managing to hang in there. It's true. They are just living from hand to mouth. That's just the reality. So the question becomes, what is the difference in all of this? I realize that what happens to a man on the outside has a lot to do with what is inside of that man. And until you change what is inside of a man, you can teach him all the principles, you can give him the funding, you can give him, we give people money here to start business. They use it to go and marry second wife or something, because why? That is what is in them. If you look at us, especially in church, there's a lot of stuff that was planted inside of us that makes it difficult for the church folks to prosper. The average Christian, what is it that is in his heart always? What is it that is in his spirit always? First of all, the wrong idea planted in our head. It's amazing that it is now that we are saying to ourselves, don't be bullied, don't get shamed of talking about money. Why is that? Because it was implanted in many of us, like there's something wrong with money. So a pastor talks about money, there's something wrong. And if that is in your spirit, I don't care who you are, I don't care where you go, you're going to struggle financially. That's just the truth of it. That's just the truth about it. And so that is why I said what we're doing here is foundational, is groundbreaking to begin to rebuild ourselves. The average believer here, what is he thinking? Hell, heaven, demons, witches, wizards, principalities, powers, village people. That's what's going on in them. This is the truth. Sir, a pastor just posted something now that, the rain falling and the sun shining is supernatural. I made a post a few days ago. Elon Musk's girlfriend, whom he dated when they were in college, that means in their teenage years, said something that even then, that the only thing this guy spoke about then was about electric cars and alternative sources of fuel. That is just a teenage boy going into university. That all he spoke about then was about electric cars and alternative sources of fuel. At the end of it all, no devil, no demon, no witches, no principalities could stop Tesla from being born. And here we are today. Why? It was always in him. Don't forget that whatever knowledge a man consumes, that man becomes that knowledge. That is just how it is. So when we told people money is bad, money is this, don't talk about money, it made people poor and it keeps making them poor. And it doesn't matter what we teach those people, it will never materialize, because what a man is on his inside is what that man is going to be on the outside. So thank you, sir, for at least the platform that helps us start to change. And this is what I teach in church all the time, because I realize that until the light brings up inside, the Bible talks about God gives us power to make wealth. Where is that power? It's inside of us. So until we resurrect that power, make it present in us, then you can teach all the 14 fundamental ways of how to make money, and they will remain poor. That is just what I felt I should put through. Thank you, sir.
Wow. Thank you, Pastor Chidi. Wow. Well, I think that that's just the truth. Then in response to what you said as to some people starting business together and 10 people giving the same money, same amount, preyed upon, same opportunity and things like that. And at the end of the day, you got different outcomes. Let me just respond to that. And then I'll also respond to the issue of church folk not doing well, some not doing well and things like that. The first thing I want to say is that whether we like it or not, if you give in a set, like maybe set of 10, and you give them the same money amount and the same opportunity, and you look at the same time for them to have done well, for them to now want to look at their outcome, and you don't get the same. The truth is you might not get the same for many reasons. Personal diligence, personal ability, drive, risk, relationship, how they relate with people, with what we call social intelligence, being able to take risk, being able quality. There's a lot of things, and then even things beyond the sovereignty. Having said that, every wise person who want to invest in people should not expect 100% result from all. We should not do that. We should give room for some might not do well, and that doesn't mean in all experiment is a failure. I remember some organization wanted to give out money to some people as grant. From onset, what they said to those people they wanted to pass the money through is that what they want is 60% success. Once they get 60 people succeeding, that whole process has succeeded, because they look at it and from looking at the hindsight, they look at that's the way this thing works. I remember reading something from John Maxwell in his book Life at Work, and he was saying that he has traveled across the globe, taught this principle of financial success and things like that, that he has met people who have been diligent, poured their best and everything, and at the end of the day, they didn't make fantastic success out of it. That has just come that at the end of the day, something called God factor. If everybody is not only Tesla that have the dream of electric car, but the truth is this, on the outcome of things, God will just allow that one person will just champion the cause. I think that there's something like sovereignty about life that even plays out in the market. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody must not exert themselves. So I only say that to say that sometimes there is something like sovereignty. Then again, businesses, people do differ. Some business might not be able, I can recognize that, and I'll call you. Let me just finish this thought. I don't know who's that, and well, after the answer, I'll call everybody. Let me just finish this thought and I will call you. Okay, so different businesses. Some business, 1 year might not be enough. Some business might need a longer period for people to fail to stand, and then it will amaze us what comes at the end of the day. Because business sometimes can look like trees. There are business like, maybe your business just like you're planting corn. 3 months, you start seeing the success. Some the business is like a tree. It might take 2, 3, 4 years for you to start seeing the result of the business really coming. Then I also want to say this, that sometimes the assistance we give people in the church that we think we are giving assistance might not be enough to make success out of what they have started. What do I mean? Somebody want to start a pharmaceutical shop, for instance. That's what he want to start. And we say we have assisted with 100,000 naira. I'm using Nigeria case. He can't do anything out of it. That's not assistance. From initial, that business cannot work because 100,000 cannot do anything. Sometimes the money somebody need to take off something might need to get to a critical mass before that business can enter into autopilot. Otherwise, that whole process will just return. I remember somebody in my street sharing something with me of his brother. They gave him 1 million for this business. And he told me that at the end of that year, the whole business collapsed. That 1 million went. He said the following year, the family came together, gave him another 1 million. The whole business collapsed. He said 4th year, that's 1, 2, they omitted 1 year. I came back and raised him some money. He said, as I speak with you, that guy is richer than all of us in that family. He said the guy now has a business outfit in China where he makes suits. He said he has a story building in China. He makes suits on his own. He came back to Nigeria, bought a house at Lekki, bought 2 cars. He said he's going to visit. Now I said, something just struck my heart. I said, if it is in the church, will I likely be patient with a brother to even be able to give to this person again the 3rd time? Would we have given up and say, well, it's over? But because it's a family person, he's our sibling, we still believe, because we have the money, we still believe, we still track. But many a times, church don't do this for their members. And then sometimes even what we give is nothing. It can't really do much, because sometimes we pastors, we are not even in the job market to know what something entails. That the kind of money we give is not this money. Sometimes when we want to give money to members, we will think this money is so huge. How can you assist a member with 1 million in Nigeria? But we find that when it comes to maybe somebody close to our blood people, maybe our children, we can even give more than that. But when it comes to members, I see that narrative in the church that I think we might need to rejig some of the things, the way we do things. Well, that's just a thought. Let me just call the hands that I have here. I'll call Victor Abba for now. I recognize Pastor Ore and Pastor Chidi. I'll call you. But let's recognize Victor Abba. Pastor Victor, sir.
Well, you can call me anything you like. I'm a man.
I know, Reverend, sir. I didn't even know you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day to each and everyone. And I love the topic. I've been away for several weeks, so I don't know what's gone on before. And
sorry, Dr. Victor. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm not too sure what I'll be able to stay to the end of this discussion, depending on what's going on here in Costa Rica. But Dr. Odusote, please let us remember to pray for Dr. Victor Abba before this meeting is over, because he turned 75.
Hey,
he turned 75 a few days ago.
Wow.
So he looked like a 40-year-old man, but he looks 40, but he's a 75-year-old man. Like,
Wow.
Prof, I will not forgive you.
You have to, because your house may be very close to me in heaven, so you have to forgive me here. And we are coming to your house for a feast. You are going to, if we make it, we'll send our feast across all of us, sir.
Oh, thank you. But as I was saying, guys, I missed several weeks, so I don't know exactly what has been said in the past, and I'm just going to take it from what I heard. Now, the previous speaker before you, he said something that is fundamental, and I believe it's true. You've got to know where you're sowing your seed. If it's not inside the individual or the group, it's not going to give you the right results. You've got to know where you're planting that seed. Now, I also agree with you, sir. You say it's not always going to happen at the same time. But if we take the practical and we mix that practical with the spiritual, the first thing is we've got to look at the soil. What kind of soil is this? If it is good soil, we are guaranteed there's going to be a 30% return, a 60% return, or 100% return. Those are the three returns that we are promised. Another promise is we will be given the hidden treasures of darkness. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to be given the gold that's in darkness. Those hidden treasures may be ideas. Those hidden treasures may be opportunities. The same thing applies to the secrets, the secret riches. Those secret riches may be ideas. Those secret riches may be opportunities. But we've got to be alert. We've got to be alert. And this is what we've got to teach our people. It's not always about how much money I can give you to be able to invest in a particular issue or a particular project. It's a question of what is your expectation and where are you going? Are you, because there's some of them are sat there and they are chasing the wrong things. So you and I, as leaders, that's where we come in. We've got to be discerning. We've got to be able to discern what is happening in the pews. We've got to discern, is this good soil? And not to take them away from where they're going, but sometimes it's even to point out to them, oh, your investment is not the right place. Now, I know many people who are academics, and they're useless businessmen. All they want to know is about academics. Their intellect has got nothing to do with making money, because some of the most intelligent people, they lose money because they don't know how to use it. They're only interested in their specific area of endeavor. So what we've got to do is we've got to, from the beginning, we've got to, as leaders, we've got to, I'll repeat myself, check out the soil. When you check out the soil, you say, okay, now that means the responsibility is with you as a leader, because you've got to recognize the soil. If you don't recognize the soil, then you're going to be teaching nonsense. So our responsibility really is to check out the soil, know how to determine what is good, what is bad, and know how to give directives. Because I'm living in the UK. Now, everybody goes into a store in the UK called Sainsbury's. Lord Sainsbury is a believer. And all of his families, they're believers, and they pump money into the church. Now, it's not necessarily the Pentecostal church, it's the Church of England, but that's where his belief is. So we've got to in the past, again, I use England as a reference point. In the past, the land in this country belonged to the church. So you mentioned earlier on the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church, they owned all of the land. They owned everything. So it was the crown and the church. And before the church was, the crown used to come to the church to seek direction. But now the thing is reversed, because the church has lost its power and it's been cast aside. That's how it's happened here in the UK. Now, if I go back to Nigeria, hey, tell me, that means let one person here tell me which family started off with a lawyer making money. Come on, we are traders. Which family started off with an engineer making money? But some of the richest traders in Nigeria have got no education. Because it's not about your education, it's about what's in your heart. Where, we trade. Okay, you give me this, I'll give you that. And it's the man who knows how to give and how to take, and in the proportions that are available, he's the one who's successful. So I don't want to go on because other people have things to say, but I just wanted to add that to what was being said today, and leave it like that. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, sir. Wow, powerful. That is experience, and that is, it was Eliud that said, I allow age to speak. That's just it. And I think that for all of us on this platform, we cannot argue less with this. We can't. That this is just wisdom. And I think as pastors, we need to, some of these things are just coming, adding to some of those things that we have said. And then I just want to say this, that just about what Daddy have just said, and then what Pastor Chidi said as to the state of our members, that I'm taking it for granted that we pastors, we are already on a spree of educating our members. It can't be the same old narrative where we present that money has not been good. Money is good, because money is a reflection of the good things of life. God is what I give us all the good things to enjoy. So money is a means of exchange of it. So, and what God gives man is good. So we are educating our members, and then there is science of it. The science of it is what we are learning. So we get into the science of it, and then we can predict that in the process of time, if we follow this pattern, our people will be rich. That's what we are saying. We're not saying they will be rich. And then if we teach them correct gospel, they will give to the church. And then we will have enough money to do what God has called us to. And then God will be glorified in all us. Okay, so let me identify. Okay, Reverend Sam, your hand is still up.
Yeah. Let me yield to Pastor CJ. I think his hands are raised. Except.
Okay, Pastor CJ.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I had to raise my hand up one more time. And the reason is because I think that some points needs to be emphasized over and over again. I made up in my first comment, I made up a situation. It's not a real situation. It's supposed to be used to explain a point. This is not about being impatient about our members. This is not about measuring who scores or who doesn't score. The point is that whether we agree or not, there are those who are doing well and those who are not doing well. And over times, what we have done is to excuse it rather than asking the question. Let me ask this question, and this is where this thing began for me. Does God sit in heaven and decide? Well, we're talking about God factor now. Does God sit in heaven and decide that Mr. A will be rich, Mr. B will be poor? Now, if that is the case, I will be doing something very bad to go and teach a man that God has decided, sovereignly decided that this man will be poor, to go and be trying to tell them how to be rich.
Right.
I will be working against the will of God for that man. In fact, what we should do is to teach that man how to be poor, because that is the will of God for him. One. Number two, when the Bible said that seed, let me bring in some scriptures here. When the Bible talks about God, Jesus talked about a farmer sowing a seed. If you noticed, the seed sown was the same. The farmer was the same. What was responsible for the result and their level of productivity didn't come from God. It came from what was going on inside of them, inside of the man. I'm saying this because we love to talk about external factors without knowing that what is responsible for the result people get is what is going on inside of them. That's the point I was trying to make. Because at the end of it all, if God, like I said, these are the questions I have to settle, because I don't want to offend God. If God has said that this man's destiny is to be poor, I will be fighting God to try to teach that man, or even try to help that man to be rich. So I believe that, and that's the point I wanted to make clear, that, for example, Dr. Dussel, you were talking about perseverance. Why is it that one person can persevere, the other person cannot? Why is it that one person can be disciplined to invest, the other person will not invest? Sir, let me just end up by saying this. If you take $1 billion and give to a man whose spirit is poor, it's only a matter of time that money will reduce to the size of his spirit, QED. This is why lottery winners always lose at the end, because money suddenly came to them. And suddenly you see that all the decisions they made are poor decisions, because they think poor, they seem poor, they keep buying things, keep spending. Why? Because that's all what they have desired until the money is finished. So the point I was trying to make is not about measuring the outcome of the people. It's about thinking a little bit further. Why is it? What can we further do when people are not okay, not doing well? We don't give up, but we try to sit back and try to understand what is going on inside of this person, because otherwise you can be teaching the same thing even giving them money to start the business, and then it just won't work. That's the point I was trying to make.
I agree with you, Pastor Chidi. No, in all fairness, this is just the truth. The only thing I just want to say is that sometimes it's not everybody that can do business. It's not everybody that can run business. It's not everybody that is wired. Even that is wired for something. Some people are just wired to work under somebody, to support. But to be the arrowhead, to be the risk taker, to be the face of a business. I remember we discussing about somebody in our church, and the leader just look at this person is not cut out for this. He has done this, he has done it, we've seen him. We've seen his courage, his charisma. Some people are just best being paid salary, and then they are taught, they learn how to manage their salary, they are well paid, and then they continue their life that way. Not everybody will be entrepreneur or risk taker in that sense. I think there is something like that. Okay, let me give room for Pastor Sam.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Dusode. I'm glad that Pastor CJ was given the opportunity to clarify that point. I knew that was what he meant, but I just wanted him to speak for himself, and I totally agree with him. And thank God that you also alluded to that. I think it was talking more about the mindset, which we need to correct first, because look at the man that was given. Those three guys were given, different talents, different abilities, because all of us have different abilities, different grades of talents. 5, 3, 1. But this other guy that had a terrible mindset was also given a talent, but he went and he hid it, he buried it in the can. And because from like CJ said, it wasn't the will of God for him to bury the talent, but because he probably had a wrong mindset. So, and the wrong mindset was that the master was going to reap from where he did not sow. So that defeated the purpose of. So when you have that kind of mindset, you can even think of investment. So imagine that kind of person being brought to your platform, Pastor Dusa, and you are teaching that kind of person the 3 M's: make money, manage money, multiply money. This guy will just be looking at you because his mindset will not help him understand what you're even saying. So the way to start from that person is to start from, look, it is the will of God for you to prosper and to turn whatever has been given to you into prosperity, and you have it already inside you. You have it already, you have been given. It could be 1, it could be 3, it could be 5. Don't be jealous about the one that has 3 or 5. You have something. So I think the best place to start sometime is to let people know, to identify their gifts in life, their purpose in life. Where the purpose of everybody is the same, that is in Christ, but our gifts are different. For example, even among gifts, I think I actually wrote a whole book on that, Purpose Redefined, where so all of these things are broken down into bits. I advise us to get it if you haven't read it, because the truth of the matter is, at some point, even within the gifts, there are sub-categorization of gifts. For example, linguistic intelligence, which has to do with the ability to write or speak. There are also subgroups, because people say, well, President Barack Obama is a fabulous speaker. I agree with that. It is true, but it is incomplete, because he's a speaker when it comes to politics and other things. But put him on the platform with Dr. Sote to come and preach or to come and speak about the scriptures, Dr. Sote will floor him. I know that for a fact. So, that's why in medicine, I'm not a doctor. Dr. Sote is a doctor. Even in medicine, you have to have, you narrow everything down until you get to, there are people specialized in children's medicine. You can call them pediatricians or so. Then even among the pediatricians, you have to have some people that will specialize in certain narrow aspect. So you become an expert in a tiny niche. And like you rightly said, Dr. Doza, I agree with you that not everybody is going to start a business, but everybody can do well in whatever gifts that God has given to them. It doesn't have to, nobody, I don't believe everybody's going to become a billionaire. But everybody should do well with their gifts. At the end of the day, success in life is not just measured in money, but in how well you have demonstrated the grace of God on your life with reference to your gifts. Then turning that gift into money is another ball game that must be taught. But if the person that is gifted does not even know that is gifted and that he can do well because of a poor mindset, then telling him that he can become wealthy or he can become rich, would just be a waste of time. I think I just want to throw that one in. Now, before we go, if you don't mind, before I go over to you, Dr. Duzade, I want to be part of the prayer for Dr. Victor Abba, my good friend and brother all the way in the UK. We are so grateful to God. I mean, since I announced your birthday, people have been, chiming in words of congratulations in the group. On behalf of the Reawakening and every participant, I want to say thank you, sir, for your humility, for your uprightness, for for the wisdom that you display, and for your love. We appreciate you. We are not taking you for granted at all. And it's our prayer that by the grace of God, in another 5 years, when you're going to turn 80, you'll still be looking younger and healthy. And in another 15 years, when you turn 90, you'll still be looking stronger and younger. And in another 20 years, when you turn 105,
did you say you like me? I don't think so. Did you call me friend? I don't think so. What? Prof?
No, 105 is doable, sir. in good health and with a lot of dough, because I know that you're one of those rich people, one of those wealthy people that we are referring to. So we pray for long life, for health, for personal health, for more understanding, for more grace of God, more importantly, for more revelation of Christ and his finished work of grace. Thank you so much. Happy birthday. Back to you, Dr. Odusate.
Thank you.
Wow.
God bless you.
I think we are going to stop at this junction. I'm just going to read the comments that are here because our time is very fast, but this is 1:56. I don't know, is any hand still raised up? Okay, no hand here. Okay, that's good.
There was a hand from Mr. Grant Ojo's hand that was raised up.
Okay, Mr. Grant Ojo, okay. Okay, let's have it so that we can, our time is fast spent. Mr. Grant Ojo.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, sir. The opportunity. Quick one. I'm actually reading a book by Head El Silvoso, and I learned something profound. When we talk about the redemption that Christ bought for us at Calvary, he said, man at the Garden of Eden did not just lost his soul, our soul, because of sin, but he posited that man actually lost in business as well. Business acumen, business ability, ability to prosper. The devil did a lot of damage to that. You don't forget that God said initially to Adam that you will have to sweat before you can make it. And when Cain killed Abel, it became gravier. And he said, you will walk. The earth will still not yield to you. I think we need to know that the gospel actually came to redeem the capacity unto man again to also prosper in what we do. Psalm 1:3 told us, whatever he lays his hands upon shall prosper. So I think we need to go back to that teaching. And thank God we are talking to senior members of a church, we need to be intentional about it to know that the redemptive work of Jesus is not just for soul to go to heaven, but restoration of capacity. No wonder God had to tell us in Deuteronomy 8:18, I give you capacity, the power to make wealth. So I think this is just what I want to quickly chip in because I know our time is up. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much for that from Ed Sivoso. Thank you so much. I quite agree because as saints, with the relationship we have with God and that regeneration, it makes us to know that the creation is God's. So we can readily engage God's creation, take advantage of the universal principles that God has put there on the basis of our relationship, and then we can begin to make most of creation. I think I agree. That's a very good one. Thank you, sir. Okay, so let me read out the charts that we have here. Congratulations, sir. Okay. Congratulations again from K Oyedepo, from Okoaye Modupe. Happy birthday to you, sir. So a lot of us are wishing you birthday, sir.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, sir. Then this one says, very true. Okay, there are some before that. Sorry. Grant Ojo said, I just thought about Joseph, how he rose to be the savior of his time. He had no education or training, yet God used him to offer solution to the problem of his time. I call it God factor. Yes, very true. There was a God factor. But I also believe that there's some training in Potiphar's house and then in his father's house doing business, doing some things. Okay. This one says Reverend honor to everyone, great job. John August to everyone, wow, this is profound. Then Olumide Akano said this message amongst other points raised shows that the church leaders must not hold back in teaching / encouraging their members on how to make money, because a wealthy church is one whose members prosper all around, i.e. is engaged and exchanging values for money. The quality and measure of the church members' growth should be more than spiritual growth, i.e. studying Bible, praying in tongues, attending churches, but also much more include how well members are doing and participating in business and engaging in investment. Church leaders must be passionate about this, like the spiritual aspect. Good one. The sun rising and rain falling are both supernatural. Okay, then all the greetings have said that. This one, Victor Abba said, thank you for wonderful wishes, everyone. Okay, that's from Reverend Victor to us. Then Grant Ojo said, but the master knew he had the capacity to multiply what was given to him. Okay, all those ones have been captured. Happy birthday, sir. Great grace and great strength, sir. Happy birthday, sir. Great grace and great strength, sir, for the years ahead. Okay, and for those of us on YouTube, thank you for joining us. We recognize all your comments. We know that you have a powerful time with us. Okay, as we close, I just want Reverend Pambili to just help us in prayers. Let's remember that we are going to pray for Daddy, Reverend Victor Abba, as we close, and then let's just bring the meeting to a close. Pastor Pambili, sir.
Okay. So, what a great time today discussing these very touching issues. I just want us to open our mouths and pray and ask God to help us, that we'll be able to apply these things. We're not here to just discuss these things, but to apply them as we discuss them. Let us ask God to help.
Lord.
Ingentembolo Goshato
Talabrendo Conto
Mana
Parapaya.
Mama
Liza
Zondo
Librade,
Bolo
Mante
So
Talabrondo,
practice
Thank you, Jesus.
all that
Talabrondo.
we have been able to
Thank you, O God, for a great time in your presence. Thank you, O God, for the
Malinga
revelation.
Seketeli
Thank you for
Bolo
the
Kushenteli
for the
Bolo. Thank you,
understanding.
Jesus.
Thank you for the
We
challenges.
worship you,
Thank
Lord.
you,
We
O
give
God,
you
for the
honor, God. We
new
give you
knowledge
praise and
and the
honor,
new
discussion.
power. Oh God, you have
Malinga
given
Sotumbolo
we
Kushente Bolo
exalt you, we
Kushenteli
magnify you.
Bangata
Kaparuka
Bolo.
Sento Rapidea.
Ingli Bolo
Zubra Keto
Kushenteli Bolo
Sokoto Legede.
Kushantala Boli.
Marapa Kedos.
Malika
Makuta Skento
Punturi
Kata.
Bolo.
Rapa Kato.
Ingekete
Toko to paraka
Sotumbolo
papa parakata. Lekra paruta skento kata. Lebroko to paratalia.
Ingli Bolo
Arupaya
Kushenteli
kata.
Bangata
Mareke
Bolo.
to parakato muruta stende. La bruta skento
Maringo
kata.
Santa
Manta
Protobo
talabranto
Santeli
skenta.
Borgosai,
Legrado sonto kata.
Engedengli Boriba
Ilo
Santoro Santa
payaka
Baba
paraka
Mangalie.
paparupalia.
We worship you, Lord.
Legrado
We give you
sonto
the
kata.
honor, Lord.
Rape dedia. Rupaya
Santa
kata.
Baba
Marakutu kata.
Mangalie.
Lemene
Alinga
de
so
atokondo sakanda lebrendo susa lebrendo. Liakutunde barapakato lebrendo salabrando rapakundo sondo kata.
Thank you, Jesus. Shantengli Borogo Shanda Baba Bamboze.
In the name of Jesus.
Thank you, Lord Jesus.
In
We
the name
worship you,
of
Lord.
Jesus. I just want us
Hallelujah.
to lift up our voices and pray for our brother Victor Abba. Let us ask God for grace. Let us ask God for oil. Let us ask God for strength for him, that he will be able to number his days aright and apply his heart to wisdom. Let us pray for him. Makedo rapa rapa rapa. For our brother Victor Abba, we thank you for grace and mercy you have given him. We thank you for health that you have given him. Oh God, this 75 years of prayer answering. In the name of Jesus, for grace, for strength in the name of Jesus, that he will be able to say, like Caleb, I am strong and well. Continue when the enemy comes to give me this part of the mountain, that he will be strong in grace to go forward in the name of Jesus, strength to conquer God has given him in the name of
Thank
Jesus
you,
to
Jesus.
possess the
We
mountain
worship you,
that
Lord.
God
Praise
you
you
have
for
committed
setting
to
that.
him.
Thank you, Lord, more money, God,
We
for
ask, oh
helping your
God,
brother.
Lord,
Give healthy
continue
life.
for knowledge for him, oh
Oh
God,
Lord, thank you for
in
sparing
the
his
name
life.
of
We
Jesus
invoke
Christ of
the
Nazareth,
full
that he
guard
will be able
in the
to
name of
apply his
Jesus.
word to wisdom.
Lord, that
Oh
you will
God,
supply more wisdom, more grace to number his days, so he multiplies out of the wisdom of God. And more health and longevity in the
lift up,
name of the Lord
establish
Jesus
him.
Christ.
Oh God,
Malinga
give
sende
me this
lebolo
morning
koze.
Ephrata in the
Ekete
name of
klebrosoto
Jesus
boloko
Christ of
shente
Nazareth.
kete
Ika
kete
paruta
bala
spentelia. Your
bala.
fresh oil upon his life, your fresh
Lord,
grace
fresh
upon his life.
anointing,
In
fresh
the
grace,
name of
fresh revelation,
Jesus
fresh
Christ of
wisdom,
Nazareth,
oh God.
strengthen him and energize
In
him.
the
Let
name
him
of the Lord
go
Jesus
forth
Christ.
in
Malinga
the name of
Santala
Jesus.
Baba.
Oh God, for the remaining days
Yenkete
of
Limba
your
Zutori
ministry,
Mankataba
we bless you,
Buskiteria.
oh God. We exalt
Alinga
you and
Sende.
magnify you. In the name of Jesus Christ,
Thank you,
we
Lord Jesus.
pray.
We worship you, Lord. In
Thank
Jesus'
you
name.
very much. Yeah,
Amen.
the Lord bless you. I hand over to Dr.
Amen.
Olusa.
Thank you so much, Pastor Pambili. In fact, it's like Pastor Pambili is a prayer warrior. Okay, we have come to the end of today. So let's open our video. And then, like Pastor Sam will do, let me greet everybody. Okay. In no particular order. Okay. Thank you so much, our host, Pastor Korede. Thank you for job well done. Pastor Olumide Akano, thank you so much. You actually welcome everybody, and that was a very good one. Reverend Sam, you are in Costa Rica, but your heart is still with us. We recognize your fellowship with us today. Thank you for all your contributions.
Amen.
Reverend
Thank
Victor Abba, thank you so much for that contribution. We enjoy it, and we wish you long life. We trust God that the grace of God will yet be heavy upon you and yours in Jesus' name. Pastor
Thank
CJ,
you.
thank you so much. Always coming from that angle that, you are just putting your tools. And we need people like this in the church. We need more people like this. I'm sure when you are young, your pastor will always be on his toes. And I think he's a good one there. We need it in the church. Pastor Nike Odewabi, okay, thank you so much, Pastor Nike. Reverend Pambili, thank you so much for joining us again. Pastor Paul Buluaji, Reverend Steve Ayahu, thank you so much. And Vic, thank you for joining us again. And for all of us on YouTube, thank you. We appreciate the grace of God on everybody. On this platform, we know it. Knows that you know, even at the end of everything, everybody must come with, from different angles so that we have a balance in all that we say on this platform. On that note, we believe that we have learned one thing or the other. Let's implement this thing. Let's apply them as pastors, and let's trust God that we're going to have a better church that is more effective, 360 degree. Till we come your way again next week for another blast, trusting God for more inspiring topic that God will give to his servant. Keep holding forth and keep prospering with